Recording in progress.
Good morning. My name is Eric Luria, and I am today's service associate. Reverend Gary Kowalski, our visiting minister, will be presenting the messages this morning. And so I just want to welcome you live from Fellowship Hall. It's our LCUUF Sunday service. Our announcements were on a slideshow before the service and were sent out with our weekly newsletter. If you're new and would like to receive the newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of the welcome team or write us at info@lcuf.org. And now a special welcome to our visitors. If you are visiting with us for the first time or have returned and reconnected after a long absence, we invite you to say your name and tell us where you're from. If you are on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box, and it will be read out loud in the fellowship. We'll start with people in the room. Do we have some new people, visitors? Well, no, that's fine. No, you can stand. No, stand up, please. People can see you.
Oh, okay.
There it is. There it is.
There we are.
Great.
Okay. I'm Heather Bauer, and I'm from New Hampshire, U.S., and I'm just so pleased to be here. And it feels very welcoming walking in today. So, thank you.
Welcome. Any other people here that are new or returning? Okay, thank you. Anyone on Zoom today?
We don't have anyone new on Zoom.
Okay. And just a brief note, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, Reverend Alspa. We hope you will return to sample this variety of thought and belief. Our chalice lighting words today are by Patrick Lichty. The chalice we light today is a symbol of our faith. It binds us together as one people, a reminder that our strength is in our shared hope for the world, and that our common work is the creation of a beloved community among ourselves and in the world. Now let us light our chalice with these words which we sing together. Kindle this light celebration for the light that we share. Each week, we take time to remind ourselves that we belong to a community which cares for each other. The sharing of joys, sorrows, and milestones is one way in which we practice holding one another in community. We speak briefly what is in our hearts, sharing any significant joys or sorrows in our lives because there is power in the sharing. We will start with folks in the room to give those on Zoom a chance to type joys or sorrows into the chat to be read aloud in the fellowship. let us first recall the joys, whatever you may be celebrating, whatever invokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others. Are there any joys that people would like to share in the room? Please say your name when you start.
My name is Lynn, and I am on our care committee here. And we've been very busy these last couple of weeks. And I would like to have 4 candles lit. We have 4 members right now who are all still alive, so that's very joyous. And, well, I didn't know whether to do this as a joy or a sorrow. So we have Trudy Crippen, who has had several surgeries done on her leg. Looks like she'll be laid up for about 3 months. She would love visitors, emails, cards, any calls, anything you would like to do. She gets bored. She's in the hospital right now, but she'll be moving to a care facility for, I don't know, a few days, I think, just to get herself organized once she's out of the hospital. We also have a care for Christine McAuliffe, and probably most of you don't know her. She and her husband moved here, and shortly after they did, he passed away. And she has been bedbound for 6 months ever since she got here. And she was trying to work out something with the insurance company to help pay for a new hip, and that hasn't worked. And so now she's having this operation tomorrow and hopes to be up and walking on the next day because she's been doing lots of PT in her bed, so she won't be really weak. I did post her email, if anyone wants to send her an email, in my last notice. Another one is Lorna Dean. We all know and love Lorna. She's probably the most organized person I have ever met in my entire life. And she is in San Antonio Hospital. I did not talk to her this morning or to Ellen, but I understand that she may get to come home today or tomorrow. Or not home, but I think she's going to a care facility too, so she can continue with her care. And then the last person is Janice Kimball, who's had a very rough year after losing her sons. And she sent me a long email yesterday. I posted what she had written, and she says she is not, in fact, up for visitors. Please do not visit her. The other 3 people will be, but she says it's too hard on her, but she would love to hear from people. She has trouble hearing on the phone, so probably the best way to do that would be email. And she has a double kidney infection, and so she's been going through all these rounds of antibiotics, and now she also has something wrong with her lungs, that some kind of infection has moved into them, which is why she has been in so much pain. So if you guys want to just drop her a note, I know she would love that. And as far as I know, that's everybody.
Thank you, Lynn. Kathy.
Other joys?
I'm Devora, and I have 4 joys, but you don't have to light 4 candles, Paul, because the joy is I have 4 friends from where I'm from in New Hampshire, including Heather. And Heather and Mickey and Pauline and I taught in one school for almost 30 years. And so we've been having fun reminiscing and dancing and eating.
I'm Phyllis, and I have a great joy. My son and I are practicing French and German because he's going on an 11-day trip to Europe, February 21st. So he's practicing his languages, and he's going to be in all those wonderful places. So we're excited about it. That's my joy.
I'm Christine, and I have a joy. My good friend Zainab is here with me again for her second time at church, and she loves it. And she brought us all chocolate cake today. So everyone's welcome to get a piece of chocolate cake. She's a great cook and baker, and that's it. She's been great support to me since Christmas. Thank you so much.
I have a personal joy too. My brother and his partner, his husband, are coming to visit us this Friday and will be here for 5 days. It's the first time they've been here in like 7 years, so Mom and I are really excited to see them.
Any other joys in the room? Okay. Are there any joys on Zoom today?
Yes, actually, we all share a joy that both Lorna Jean and Christine are on Zoom with us today.
Wonderful. Now let us voice our sorrows or concerns, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. Are there any sorrows or concerns from people here in the room to share?
Still Devora. I went to visit my mom, who you guys probably know. She's 100, actually 100 now. And no one had noticed until I happened to that her leg and her foot are swollen. And I got the doctor there, and she has an infection. And she's resistant to sitting in the recliner because then she's afraid she'll miss out on things. So I've been going more often to make sure that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. So her name's Connie, so please send healing thoughts to Connie at La Paloma.
I'm Tim. This is more of a concern, but I suppose it could become a sorrow. We're entering this very important election year, and I think a lot about the importance of democracy and what's at stake in this election, in the United States, that is. And so throughout this year, I hope we can keep that before us as a prayer, as a concern, as action. And so I hold that before you this morning. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Ted. I have two sorrows. One is that when I was in college, I played a lot of guitar. And one of the guys I played guitar with was a guy named Steve John, who died yesterday from liver cancer. And we're all of the people in his circle are grieving. And I just found out that a dear friend of mine who is an OBGYN who was in my medical school class has pancreatic cancer. So I'd love to have you hold Steve's wife, Clooney, and Sue Yates in your hearts.
I'm Kate. This is a sorrow, kind of a vague sorrow, but I was out with a friend a couple of days ago for lunch, and she made a comment which really struck me, which was, I never realized how much pain is involved in getting old. And it stopped me for a minute because, yeah, I take pain pills before I go to sleep at night. I take pain pills when I get up in the morning. It's like, it's a part of life now. But for all of you who are going through the same thing, just let's all hang in there together.
I'm sorry.
I would like to, I'm Eric, of course. I would like to add another, both sorrow and concern. I've noticed in the last, it's been quite a long time since anyone's brought up the Israeli-Gaza war and the Ukraine-Russian conflict. And I think we just need to keep remembering these people in our hearts. There's so much suffering among these people. Thank you. Are there any sorrows to be shared on Zoom today?
Yes, Ellen has expressed her concerns for Lorna D. in the hospital. We talked about Lorna as well and Joyce, so joy and sorrow.
And this candle from our care team represents the joys and sorrows we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We light this candle for all those unspoken sorrows and joys. Let us share a moment of silence to hold in our hearts both the sorrows, concerns, and joys that have been shared this morning. Thank you. There are many ways to be of service to LCUUF. Our time, treasure, and talents are all necessary components of a healthy fellowship. Now is the time in our service when we ask you to share the gift of treasure through pledging and donations. Instructions for the payments to the fellowship are on a slide during the announcements before the service every week. For people here in the fellowship, we will pass a basket. If you are new here or you are struggling to hold things together, feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. Each week, we give half the money collected at the service, a minimum of 5,000 pesos, usually more, to an organization providing services to our lakeside community. For the month of January, we will be supporting Poco a Poco, which helps people in the San Juan Ixtacan area. This organization supports youth and women in this indigenous area through education, teaching local organic food growth, providing food and drinking water to renal patients, and feeding over 300 children 5 days a week, offering healthcare services as well as literacy and English as a second language classes. One of the services they provide is feeding the children and adults who are vulnerable to kidney disease. They now have 6 community kitchens in the area. This year, Poco a Poco has received a wonderful gift of a piece of property near Mezcala that has a warehouse and is now in the first steps of creating a community garden with a kitchen so that the people can learn about planting and maintaining a garden, harvesting and cooking all in the same place. Poco a Poco wants this garden to be only planted with heritage plants so they can be harvested, seeds collected, and new plants grown. At this time, they need seeds, tools, and helpers for the project. If you are not attending the fellowship in person, please donate to Share the Basket when you pay your pledge. Donate to Share the Basket separately or indicate what part of your donation is to Share the Basket. The offering is now generously given and received. Our opening hymn is Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky song, in the forest sounds your cry. What to give you, what to call you, what am I? Any drops of in the ocean, deep and wide. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? Empty time flies with me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal, haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. And Father Spirit, take our hearts, take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our hearts. I noticed today that there was only a single church bell. Amazing. Today's reading is When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from its purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades. I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood, and I look upon the time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular, and each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending, as all music does, towards silence, and each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say all my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was a bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have, if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to add up simply having visited the world.
Good to see you all this morning. In 1996, the hit musical Rent opened to critical acclaim and rave reviews and a 12-year run on the stage. But the man who wrote this extraordinary work, Jonathan Larson, he died suddenly of an aortic rupture just the night before his hit play opened. He was only 35 years old, and he never lived to see his work on stage, but he lived out his dreams and passions to the very end. And on opening night, the cast sang his words to his song as a tribute. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights and cups of coffee, in inches and miles and laughter and strife. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? How about love? Measure it in love. 525,600 minutes. So many journeys to plan. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man? In truths that she learned or times that she cried? In bridges he burned or the way that she died? It's time to sing out now, though the story never ends. Let's celebrate a year in the life of friends. And so may we measure this coming new year, not so much in minutes or seconds or hours, but in acts of kindness and the tenderness we share, in laughter and struggle and supporting each other in hard times, and in the memories we make together. It's a truism that everybody knows that they're going to die, but nobody believes it. We act as though we're going to live forever, and why not? From the very instant that we are born, there's never been a moment when we're not the ones in the center of the circus ring, when we're not the ones who are spotlighted on the stage, when we're not the protagonist of the entire story from our first breath. We're the ones who are sniffing the world, who are bumping up against it, gazing out, recording memories, hatching plans, making schemes. So, how could all of this panorama exist without us? Other people's mortality we recognize readily enough. Sigmund Freud quipped of the man who said to his wife, "Dear, if one of us should die, I think I would go live in Paris." But our own expiration date always seems to be receding towards some distant, never to be consummated someday. Indeed, Freud suggested that in our subconscious, time never passes. In our psychic self-image, we're always youthful, vigorous, we're always on the brink of the adventure, never near the finale. For the unconscious mind, there is no death. But emotional health and maturity require bringing these primitive portions of the mind under the guide of what he called the reality principle. And in an essay written in 1918, at the end of the First World War, which had seen such incredible slaughter on the battlefield, he suggested that men might not kill each other quite so casually if we actually believed in our own destructibility. If we acknowledged its brevity, its perishability, its ephemeral nature, we might value existence more highly. And so Freud concluded his essay, Reflections on War and Death, with this advice: if you wish life, prepare for death. If you want to live fully, prepare for the end. Everyone knows they're going to die, but few people believe it. But suppose you did believe it. Suppose you realized that you had just this coming year of 2024, all 365 days, 8,760 hours, 31,536,000 seconds remaining, and then finito. It's all over. No more brushing the teeth, no more putting on your socks in the morning. Nada. All done. What would you do? How might you change your life? How would you use that time? Would you take a cruise, or would you start playing the marimbas? Would you go to Paris, or would you head to India and sit in an ashram? Would you spend all your money on fast cars and fine wine, or would you just lose all interest in getting and spending and accumulating more stuff? Would you resolve to just appreciate every moment and live each minute to the max? Or would you perhaps realize that denial and anger and bargaining and depression are part of that territory you have to cross to get to a point of acceptance and finding peace with your own passing? I don't think any of us really knows the answer to that question. What would I change if I had a year to live? It's so hypothetical. If I had just 1 year, for example, I probably would not have spent last summer caulking the windows or cleaning out the culvert under my driveway. I probably would not bother draining the hot water heater, and I certainly wouldn't be getting that colonoscopy. But of course, I do those things, and I'm going to continue doing them because, God forbid, I might live to be 100. Still, I think Freud was right about this. Dealing honestly with death helps us to deal more consciously and deliberately with life. We do not take it cheaply. While none of us knows the precise time or manner of our end, we know that time is short. In preparation for this new year, I've been reading and reviewing Stephen Levine's book, A Year to Live, where he undertakes this experiment to pass through the coming 12-month cycle as though it were his very last. Before his own death in 2016, Stephen lived not far from me along the high road to Taos in Chamisel, New Mexico. That's where he and his wife ran a 24-hour hotline for people who were facing terminal illness or coping with chronic grief and loss. And while he drew on the native indigenous wisdom of the land and also on Hinduism, his teachings were primarily rooted in Buddhism, which teaches that everything's impermanent. Nothing, nobody lasts, and that there's a kind of liberation of the heart and mind when we accept this fact. Different people might make different choices given a year to live. Some might indeed take up the marimba. But rather than starting a whole new life, Levine suggests that the wisest course might just be to go more deeply into this one life we have, to spend less energy in denial, fewer hours dwelling in the land of make-believe or regret or wishful thinking, more time just being here and present, paying attention and listening to the people around us, those we care about, appreciating each day's small satisfactions. So where to start? One place might be with a life review. Call to mind all those important individuals who have blessed you or who've hurt you along the way, and say farewell. In grief groups that I've led over the years, one of the tools that I've found helps people move through and beyond bereavement is the creation of a memory box. You take a photo of a loved one, some personal mementos, keepsakes that represent their unique traits and endearing habits, and you put them all in a holder, some container that can be put on a shelf where it can easily be accessed, but where it's not going to be a daily intruding presence. And for those who are in mourning, this can be a way of finding closure. And for the rest of us, those of us with just this 1 year to live, we might all of us consider making some mental memory boxes, recalling old friends and lovers and rivals and mentors and all the difficult people in our life, and spending just a few minutes with each of them, offering thoughts of thanks or forgiveness as appropriate, before gently letting them go and putting them into some manageable folder. It's like taking a long string of emails out of your inbox and labeling them, these are read, I don't have to read them again. Or maybe unsubscribing from some online feed. I don't need any more notifications from this particular sender. I started writing my memoirs recently after our daughter asked me if I would try to put down into words some Kowalski family history. And I found that's been a good healing practice too, because all of us have some secrets that we'd rather edit out of our biography. All of us have some things that we're not so proud of. And we can do this with our own personal narratives. We can be more gentle and compassionate with our own goofs and fallops. And there's a value to putting your life into words too, into a narrative structure, because then it has a beginning and a middle, and it also has an end. And if you want to publish it, you can also close the cover. It's complete. It's all done. Doesn't need any more work. I rather suspect that all of us at some point are going to be given a chance to do some kind of life review, like it or not, ready or not. Many years ago, my wife Dori and I, we were driving our little car down the interstate, and we hit this patch of black ice, and our car just went spinning around and around through 3 lanes of very busy traffic. And Dori had that classic experience of seeing her whole life flash before her eyes, like she was watching some movie reel. And I kind of think that at the end of the line, our minds and bodies probably know how to shut down. Just as when we're born, a newborn baby knows how to grab onto mom's finger. A child knows how to suckle at the breast. So I think we'll all get that retrospective glance. We'll all watch the movie unfold, see all the highlights again, and then we may finally meet Jesus or the Buddha or the goddess or Gandalf. And when we see that tunnel and the big light, we will know instinctively where to go and what to do. At least that's my hope. But just in case, it's not a bad idea to be ready when the time comes. And Stephen Levine suggests that all of us might consider choosing a prayer or a song or a chant or a mantra to help take us across the finish line. He says many Buddhists rely on this phrase, gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha, which comes from the Heart Sutra, and which means something like, gone, gone, everyone is gone to the other shore. And then those last words, bodhisvaha, means something like, wow, what an incredible trip. Christians, he note, might want to use the Lord's Prayer or the so-called Jesus Prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, a sinner. When Mohandas Gandhi was shot by an assassin in New Delhi in 1948, the last words that left his lips were a simple exclamation, Ram, Ram, one of the many names for the Hindu deity Vishnu. It was as though he had been getting ready his whole life for that last curtain call. The eternal was already on his lips. I think that my own chant might be the night chant of the Navajo. With beauty before me, I will wander. With beauty behind me, I will wander. With beauty above me and below me, I will wander. In old age, walking on the trail of beauty, I will wander. It shall be finished in beauty. The night chant is a 9-day healing ritual that's still practiced. It's intended to restore balance and equilibrium between the soul and the cosmos. And the intent is not necessarily to cure a disease or to make us better, but to take us to that path's end with wonder and amazement all around. And the night chant, I find, is short enough and simple enough to hold on to even in extremity. So that's my mantra, but what's yours? What I would suggest is that you might consider making a firm resolution for this coming year, not to lose weight or spend more time at the gym or start any other program of self-improvement, but to try to practice a little more self-acceptance instead, to embrace your one very limited and very imperfect lifetime for what it is. Acknowledge that you and your life are good enough. This can be a healing practice, for, as the psychologist Carl Rogers noted, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I change. Self-acceptance means letting go of the past, means that you can say, finito, it's over, you can put it to rest. It means making friends with your own mortality, at peace with the past and with the future, with your own birth and death dates. You can maybe spend a little more time focusing on that dash in between the two. So my message to you this morning is Happy New Year and tearful New Year. Same old New Year. New Year chock full of colonoscopies and other unavoidable unpleasantness. January can bring mixed feelings. It's a beginning and an end, just like everything else in this impermanent universe. It's another trip around the sun, a chance for a fresh start, another round of days that will not come again. But this year ahead is the only one we have, 525,600 minutes. Don't let them fly by before you start living.
Our closing hymn is As Tranquil Streams. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in the singing. As tranquil streams that meet and merge, flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free, free from the bonds that bind the mind to narrow thought and lifeless creed, free from a social code that fails to serve the cause of human need, a freedom that eases the past, the trust the drawing future more, and fills the soul in search of truth, adventure bodily and explore. Prophetic church, the future waits with liberating ministry. Oh, forward in the power of love, proclaim the truth that makes us free.
Beauty is before me, and beauty is behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. Amen.
let us extinguish our chalices with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
The postlude is a piece that I only get to play once a year. And as I wasn't here last Sunday, I decided I'm going to play it this Sunday.